This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Well, hello and happy new year, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, a brand new year of Viterbi Voices, the podcast. As usual, I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. And if you've been following along over the past couple of months, or even if you just listened to the last winter break send-off episode, you'll realize that our usual co-host, Maya, is not with us because she is on her way off to London. She'll be studying abroad for the spring semester in London. I'm hopeful we'll be able to check in with her from time to time, but she will not be our host for the next couple months. And instead of that, we have someone else who has come back to the podcast, a semi-regular voice. This person has been on the podcast, but will be joining me as the co-host for the spring 2023 semester. I don't know how we should do this other than, well, I guess just go ahead, introduce yourself. I was going to say, can we have people guess? I'm like, no, they're listening. It's not a live thing. We're not having an interaction. But why don't we go ahead and introduce yourself? Cameron Cole. Cameron?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Cameron Cole. I'm clearly not Maya Newishiner. I am a senior here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering, studying computer science and business administration. And I'm originally from Chicago, so certainly a lot closer to where Maya's from compared to Los Angeles. Definitely
still Midwest. We're keeping it Midwest real on your side.
Absolutely. I got to show the Midwest representation. We flew, it's a couple of thousand miles away, but no big deal.
Right, exactly. Okay, so Cameron, senior studying computer science, business administration, and just a little bit more about you, Cameron, in case people haven't heard. You come from Chicago, but you were originally a mechanical engineer, correct?
Yes. So at the end of my freshman year, after taking the full freshman set of mechanical engineering classes, I took an intro class, ITP 168. It's our MATLAB for aerospace, mechanical, astronautical engineers. And I decided to switch to the CSBA program, computer science and business. And I've been in ever since. Found it pretty good to switch over. And yeah, just had a great experience, being able to be flexible and change my major and find a good fit for me now, 3 years later.
That's fantastic. And as a senior, the dying question is, this may be an unfair question, but do you know what you want to do after graduation? Do we have plans? Do we have ideas? What's the current sitch on your post-graduation plans?
So it's actually not an unfair question, thanks to the amazing resource at the Viterbi Career Connections office, which absolutely bailed me out on this one. I'm working at Bloomberg LP in New York City. So it's in the financial technology area. So they work on the terminal that provides and pipes in all of the data and communication transaction for anyone who is a financial market maker. So good mix actually of the business acumen and then the core, like very, strong back-end computer science skills that I learned in Viterbi.
And you'll be going to New York?
Yes, New York City. Okay. Midtown Manhattan is where the office is.
Midtown Manhattan. Fantastic. And do you have a start date? Do you know when you're starting?
So I'll start in July 17th, trying to see if maybe I'll do July, mid-July, mid-August, but mid-July is the date for right now.
Awesome. And you interned there as well last year, or?
So actually, no, I interned for the past 2 summers at Microsoft. So I was an Explorer intern, which is their university program. You do like a mix of software engineering and program management. And then this previous summer, I actually went to Seattle since things were finally in person again. And I got a chance to be a full just software engineering intern for 12 weeks there. Great experience. Really enjoyed the company, great team, but just, always keeping your options open and looking around. And I found an opportunity in a good city with team, company, and projects that I was really passionate about. So a little bit of a switch there, but no difficulty in trying to do it, just getting some applications, talking to people, and opportunity came by.
Well, very cool, man. Congratulations and welcome in your official capacity as co-host of the Viterbi Voices podcast. We have lots of stuff planned for 2023. I'm excited about you taking over from Maya and not only just running the co-host, but a lot of people don't understand this, is that you're running the team. You're running the back end, making sure that the episodes are going up on a weekly basis, maybe sometimes a little bit more frequently, depending on some of our content, managing that process, helping to lead the other students that are producing and editing video podcast episodes for us. And that brings us to our first episode of 2023. And I want to not only thank you for doing that, but also being here when you're not even in session, right? So this is the first week of January. I'm back at work, but you are still on break. You're currently in Chicago, correct?
Yes, still in Chicago on break.
And how is the weather in Chicago right now?
So it was -10, maybe about 10 days ago, but currently it is a balmy 45 degrees outside. It's warm.
45. Wow, that is warm for
It,
Chicago.
it got up to 60 one day. I will admit it was 60 degrees about like 3 days ago. So
I'm just checking it. I mean, it's 55 here. So I mean, like this is you're pretty much on par. This is good. And we're pretty rainy, drizzly gray this week. So
yeah, I've
it's
heard
not fun. It's yeah, not fun at all. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for managing the team. I'm looking forward to lots of great stuff coming out of your team in the coming weeks and months of this episode. And that brings us to today's episode, which is you're here. And also we have returning to the podcast, Mateo. Go ahead and introduce yourself again to everybody that may not know you.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Mateo Salvio Piesi. I'm a sophomore at USC studying biomedical engineering with an electrical engineering emphasis. And I'm originally from Menlo Park, California, which is about 40 minutes south of San Francisco.
Are you up there right now, Mateo?
I am. And you were talking about weather earlier. That's crazy because like for us, we just had like the most rain we've like ever had in a while.
Yeah, the atmospheric river just went through there, right?
Yeah, like all my streets were like flooded. Like a lot of garages like go down, you know, like where the car like goes down into the garage. So like those were flooded as well. It was like a mess for a lot of people. But it was kind of interesting, and we have an even worse storm coming up in the next few days, so that should be fun.
I'm sorry, man. So is it raining there right now?
It's not, but it will be like tomorrow.
Right. It's just coming in waves. I think I was looking at the satellite imagery where like we were getting some rain. I think we're getting the bottom tail end of what you just had. But ours is really light, nothing compared to what's going on up there. But Mateo, you are back. And again, thank you for being here during your winter break, the last week of your winter break. But you come with your own episode now. So tell us what this episode is all about.
Yeah, so this episode is called Making Major Changes. It's kind of like a obvious word. Like you're making major changes in your life.
Totally get it. Totally get it.
That's really good.
It's about changing your major. So we talked about changing our majors. I brought 3 of my great friends, Cinthia, Monse, and JP, and we all spoke about the journeys we've had and we've like the paths we've taken to settle on declaring a major. And we talk about some of the experiences we've had, including the challenges that come with changing major. But more importantly, we talked about our successes in our new fields and ended off with some really great advice.
That's great. Now, on the front end of this episode, before we're about to kick it off to that whole body of that content body, what is the advice you have to high school students that might be listening right now about trying to understand their major before you go into listening to this conversation?
I guess if you have an interest, explore. I could not like suggest that enough. Like, for example, if like there's like a list of majors, I would just look through every single one, see one that interests you, even the slightest bit, and even the ones you don't know, you should look those up too. And by exploring, you like expose yourself to so much new careers, so many new careers and fields, and it's just like a great way to make the process a little easier for you. Maybe just like finding an interest early on will help you out, and maybe taking a few classes will change your mind on that interest. So I would just recommend exploring.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get out of the way. Hand it over to Mateo to talk to his friends about making major changes.
My name is Mateo. I'm a student ambassador, Viterbi student ambassador here at Viterbi, and I have been wanting to do this podcast for months. I finally got to do it, and here it is. So today's podcast, like you just heard, is going to be about major changes. Changing your major is just something that happens naturally in Viterbi and in general. People change their career path, and it's just really important that you find the right thing that you want to do. And with me today, I have 3 wonderful guests joining us on our podcast to talk about our major change experience here at USC Viterbi. We have varied experiences in terms of our journeys here. Some have been pretty straightforward, some not so much. Like seriously, we'll get into that. Some people have come in from outside of Viterbi going in. Some people have just stayed in Viterbi. And yeah, without further ado, how about let's just get started with introductions. You hear me talking right now? I'll just get started. My name is Mateo. I am a sophomore here at USC studying biomedical engineering with an electrical engineering emphasis. My hometown is Menlo Park, California, which is about 40 minutes south of San Francisco. And also some of my involvements at USC, I got a pretty good list, I think. I'm involved in a couple of things. So my favorite involvement is a Viterbi Student Ambassador, and I'm also part of SHIP, which is the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers, where in SHIP specifically, I'm the SHIP Junior Director, meaning I coordinate youth and children outreach. And I'm also in ASBME, which is Associate Students of Biomedical Engineering. And like I said before, it's time to introduce our other three guests here today. We have Cinthia, Monse, and JP. So anybody want to go first?
I'll go first. My name is Monse. I'm a sophomore in biomedical engineering. I have a mechanical engineering emphasis, and I'm planning to do a progressive degree in mechanical engineering. My hometown is Fontana, California. If you don't know where Fontana is, it's near Riverside. And if you don't know where Riverside is, it's near San Bernardino. For my involvements, I am in med design, and med design is a club where many majors, biology majors, engineering majors, pre-med majors, we work together to design medical devices. And this semester I'm on the team where we are designing a high-frequency chest wall oscillation vest. And basically it's an airway clearance therapy for patients with cystic fibrosis. I'm also a Latino Alumni Association scholar and a Hispanic Scholarship Fund scholar. And I'm also part of ASBME.
Yeah, I'll go next. Hi, all. I'm Cinthia. I am a junior studying industrial and systems engineering with an emphasis in operations. I'm from Los Angeles, California. And some of the involvements, I have a pretty lengthy list as well. I am the assistant director of mentorship for women in engineering, which is the overarching organization for all women in engineering here at Viterbi. I'm also director of outreach for the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers. I am also diversity, equity, inclusion director for Women in Politics, an organization outside of Viterbi. I am also executive director of Oaxaqueños at USC, also outside of an organization outside of Viterbi. I am a Curve Research Fellow within Viterbi, as well as I participated in SHIP as well through the Academic and Wellness Committee, and I'm also a USC Latino Alumni Association scholar.
That was lengthy. So, hey guys, I'm JP. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering. I'm from Brownsville, Texas. So, have you ever heard of Boca Chica, where SpaceX is launching their starships and they have their whole starship production? I'm from there, so pretty cool. And yeah, so some things I'm involved in. I'm currently involved in the USC Science Outreach. So basically, that's just a club where with a group of students, we go to a classroom every week and we just present an experiment to second graders, first graders, or third graders. And it's honestly just like a really good change of environment and it's fun stuff. And I'm also involved with the UC Liquid Propulsion Lab. So if you've ever looked into USC clubs or anything like that, specifically the Viterbi clubs, you've probably heard of the Rocket Propulsion Lab. But this one's a little bit different because we use liquid propulsion systems and it's primarily made of grad students, but they recently just started like trying to get more undergrads in. And I'm currently involved with the Balerian engine design team and also the flight vehicle design team. And this is my first semester and I've already learned an insane amount. And it's, if you've ever been interested in rockets, I 100% suggest getting involved in this. So yeah.
Dang, we're all involved in some pretty cool stuff, I have to say.
Yes,
Like,
we are.
wow. Geez, okay. Also, to get you guys to know us better, I thought we'd start off with a little icebreaker. Right now, as we're filming this, it's December 3rd, so finals are right around the corner. They're really not. They're like right now. It's currently Saturday. They start next Wednesday. So, I mean, like, how are finals treating you guys? Having a good time?
We're going.
Not
We're
really.
studying.
Yeah, I
I'm
have a lot
scared.
of final projects I have to finish before I even have to study for my finals.
Yeah.
I have all four of my finals within 3 days. So like pros and cons because I finished on Friday, which is pretty early, but also like it's a lot in a little amount of time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Jeez. I like how you said pros and cons. Like there's still some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, my finals are a little bit more spread out. Like there's two on the last day. I have projects due within the week and then one right on that first day, Wednesday. So it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle. I'm excited to go home though, like right
Or
after.
me
Like I
too.
said, I'm from the Bay Area, so like that 1 hour flight, I'm gonna be looking forward to it. Okay. So without further ado, you guys came here to listen to us talk about our major changes. So yeah, let's just get right to that because we just spent a good amount of time introducing ourselves. It's great to get to know us, but at the same time, come on, let's go. I guess like the first thing we can talk about is our major change. You know, we talked about our majors. Cynthia's ISE, JP's mechanical, me and Monse are biomedical. And let's talk about like what you were admitted for, what happened in between, and what major in now. So I guess I'll go first, just because mine's gonna be the shortest. Because I was admitted into USC as an undeclared engineering major. Secret, it's not really a major at all. It's just kind of like a placeholder. It just means I was admitted into USC School of Engineering. That way I didn't have to go through the pre-engineering process, which I think we'll talk about later. But yeah, so I was admitted into the engineering school and I eventually had to settle down on one choice for engineering. And I essentially just switched to biomedical engineering and I stuck with it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I brought on an electrical emphasis and I'm gonna just keep going.
Yeah,
Okay,
guess-
I'll go next.
we all want to go. Monse, take the wheel.
Okay. So I was admitted to UC as a biology major. I was pre-health, basically pre-med, pre-PA, and I wanted to be a physician assistant. So I wanted to go to med school after I graduated. But my first semester, I decided I wanted to do biomedical engineering. So I went through the pre-engineering process. And once I got in, this is my first semester being BME major. So once I actually had the title BME major, I added on the emphasis mechanical engineering emphasis, and that's where I am now.
Nice.
I guess I can go. So yeah, I actually got into USC as a business major and business pre-med. So my original plan was to go to med school, but that
Business? Oh my
yeah.
God. Ew, I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I used to get a lot of hate for it. But yeah, med school just went out the window as soon as I got into USC. Just was not looking forward to doing any science. So my first math class at USC, which was like business calculus, actually like suffered, and so it was rough. And then like my second semester of my freshman year, I started watching some like space videos about rockets and things like that, and just got super inspired about what I actually want to do with my life. So started looking into what I could switch into and fell in love with like the idea of mechanical engineering. So next semester I started the pre-engineering process and here we are now. Moving forward.
Nice.
Yes. Became one of the cool people.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
I know. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. I'm here to struggle along with everybody else.
Exactly. The struggle bonding, you know.
Exactly.
I had a pretty lengthy story with this. I love buildings. I love everything about buildings. So I applied and got in as a civil engineer at Viterbi, basically as a civil engineering with a structural emphasis. And then a couple of weeks before I actually started freshman year, I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. And maybe I want to like save the planet and like do a lot of like climate change stuff. So I thought environmental engineering. I went into environmental engineering, was not for me. So then I swapped over to electrical engineering, which was a huge jump, I think. And from electrical engineering, I picked up pre-law, and then I decided to drop it, everything. And then I went undecided. And then I picked up a minor in law. And then I ended up choosing ISC like later on. So pretty late, to be honest, like late into my sophomore year, I picked up ISC.
Dang, Cinthia. Once again, talking so much, not kidding. But yeah.
I'm sorry.
I told you guys there would be variations in all of our stories. No path is unique. Wait, that's totally not true. Everyone's path is unique to get to where they are now. Everyone has completely different experiences, and I feel like it's important to keep talking about that. So, I mean, some of us have already detailed like kind of our like exploration within majors, and I think that's super important to talk about. Like, how did we figure out that the major we had wasn't really the major we wanted to be in? Like, maybe we could talk about like some of the telltale signs one might have when having like doubts in their major and having that urge to switch. Obviously, like for me, I started with undeclared engineering. I had doubts. In fact, I didn't even have a trajectory other than being in engineering. So like for me, I knew I had to switch. My journey to becoming BME, biomedical engineering, is really just like it came down to I looked around what was happening in the world. Because I mean, after I'd applied to USC, submitted my application and all, waiting for my result, like I noticed the world around me, COVID, of course. Like everyone experienced that. But for me specifically, like I felt like more had to be done. Like we had vaccines that came out so fast. I was pretty inspired by that. But another thing I learned is that like a lot of people were perishing. That's like the nicest way to put it. You know, it just shows how like medicine is not all figured out. I think for me, like I was really interested in getting into that medical field, hands on, and working towards better solutions. And for me, like I was pre-med, totally forgot to mention that. But now I'm just more interested in like doing what doctors or like contributing to what doctors do in ways that I think my strengths best apply, which is like math and science. Like I think I'm a great people person, but at the same time, like I love that hands-on work. I've met a couple of biomedical engineers who literally did switch from like pre-health to biomedical engineering, like Monse, because they wanted to like get out, like from that medical field to working behind the scenes. That's something I like to do. So I am trying to get more involved this summer within some kind of internship about that. But yeah, that was kind of my journey. I just saw COVID and I was like, yeah, I want to get involved in that. I took an intro class in biomedical engineering and here I am. I kind of just stuck with it. I guess like it really only took me a semester to decide my major. So mine was pretty linear, but I still like my journey. I think it suited me.
Wow, I don't think I know how to top that. It's basically the same thing, but obviously I came in as a biology major. Even before I applied, I knew I kind of had the suspicion I didn't want to do medical school because I would always be looking up like different majors, even though I already submitted my application to USC. I just didn't really want to stick with just like actual medical school, going to school for being a physician assistant. So I remember the first week I had a 2-unit medical class for pre-med. I went in the first day and all they were doing, they brought in speakers about like actual medical professionals in the field. And there was this one guy who was basically a surgeon and he just showed like uncensored pictures of cases he's had before. And I'm very squeamish. I get very squeamish. So I knew after that, I was like, I can't do medical school. Like I just can't. And also in the back of my mind, I knew I did not want to go to medical school for that long because it really is a long process. um, Not specifically for being a physician assistant, but even if I wanted to go like to be a surgeon, I knew I didn't want to take that much time. So after that first week of classes, I decided to look up pre-engineering. I applied through this document they had on their website, and I knew I wanted to stick with biology because I like biology, but I also like math and just basically hands-on. So yeah, I changed my major like the first week. I stayed biology for my whole freshman year until actually this past summer I got accepted into BME. So this is my first semester as a BME major. Yeah.
Nice.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I guess I can go now. So for me, like when I applied to USC as a business major, I low-key feel like I was just following the money because like I wanted to go into like investment banking and like, they make a lot of money. But whenever I asked myself the question like why investment banking, like I would always make up some like fake answer like, oh, like I love how you get to interact with all these companies and you really make a difference, like doing all these things, helping with their mergers and acquisitions or a whole bunch of like things. But there was never any like purpose that I could convince myself of. So I was just kind of in like that limbo, just like lying to myself for a while. And then one like just a random Tuesday, I was watching some like I might get some hate for this, but I was watching some like Elon Musk videos about how he started SpaceX and all those things because I've always been like a huge like space nerd, like a rocket nerd, and living in Brownsville where he launches like Starship. I was super curious, so I started like looking up some of his videos, how he did it, how SpaceX started, and I was immediately like what the heck, like I have to do this, like I love it. So I started figuring out ways to actually get involved in this and maybe as a business major do something about it. And there were some options, but at the end of the day, like I wanted to actually be the one who did something significant to get to space. So that was like where like the inspiration came from. And I feel like at the end of the day, the deciding factor was that I feel like engineering opens so many doors for you. So like you can do whatever you want with an engineering degree. You could go into investment banking with an engineering degree. You could go into engineering. You could go into consulting. You could do whatever you want. People want engineers for their mindset and like their just the way they think. So it doesn't really matter that you're an engineer. So yeah, that's like what convinced me in the end. And yeah, that's why I'm here now.
But that's actually so cool. Like it is true. Like what is the purpose in investment banking? Like people that become like I don't know, people that work at the DMV, like I'm sorry, but like that's too stressful. I'm kidding. Like
the DMV.
nah, that was a bad example. But at the same time, no. Proud of you, JP. Made the right choice.
I did. No, I don't regret it sometimes.
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 Sometimes. Yeah, I would say my story was a little wacky. Like I was always a science nerd person. Um, Although engineering wasn't always like my first option. What I wanted to do first was astrophysics, but it's too theoretical for me, one.
Chill.
And two, I was like, maybe it's not for me. So I tried engineering, something more tangible, something that I could see. And like Mateo said, kind of something that impacts the world in general, right? And so that's why I love buildings. And I kind of mentioned this already. Like I love buildings. And like, if you take me to go see
cool concrete, I will like stare at the concrete for quite a while because I'm like a fan of concrete. Anyway, but so that's why I chose civil engineering at first, and I had a structural emphasis because I kind of wanted to lean a little bit more into the architecture side of like civil engineering. But then I changed my mind and thought maybe like environmental problems were more of an issue at that time for me, and it was something I was really passionate about as well. So I decided to go into environmental engineering. I took the intro class to civil engineering. I mean, to environmental engineering. And although like the professors are like amazing, I wouldn't say they're not. They're like super amazing. It was an amazing class. I learned a lot, but it was not for me. I couldn't do soil. I was like, this is not for me. And so I decided to switch over to electrical engineering over the winter break because I was tinkering with Arduinos and I was just playing around with those. And I was like, maybe this is like my jam. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do, right? And so I didn't take a class in electrical engineering, but I did research in electrical engineering. I worked for a lab at school called the Signal Analysis and Processing Laboratory, and it was one of the greatest experiences I've had here at USC in general. But also it showed me that I love research, but it also showed me that maybe electrical engineering wasn't for me. So then I decided to go undecided for a while, just because I couldn't find exactly where I could fit all my skill set. And I wanted a discipline that was extremely broad where I could switch from industry to industry and not necessarily like 3 or just 2 industries. No offense, like mechanical engineering. I think it's more like, aerospace and then maybe automobiles. So I was like, I want to venture out. Like maybe I want to do health in the future. So that's that. And going with that thought, I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be an engineer. And so I was looking at political science. And God knows political science wasn't the way to go because I stayed with engineering. When I took a few classes in ISC, I kind of saw like my interest grow for that discipline. So I was like, I still like the political side. And so I picked up a minor first. I picked a law and migrations minor first. And then as I took more ISC courses, I was like, oh, yes, I totally like this. This is something I want to do. I could like go into a variety of industries and sectors and like do whatever, like change whenever I want. And so ISC provided that. And I was like, this is it. I'm sticking with ISC. And ever since, I've been in ISC.
Okay, that's really cool. I like how you're able to like keep your interest in like politics though. Like that's still really like unique. I feel like some people kind of like stick to STEM, even like within their minors. But like some people do like my friend Ava's doing a dance minor and a STEM minor. She's crazy. 2 minors and BME. But no, I mean, it's really cool. I'm kind of jealous. Like at the same time, like I'm doing an electrical engineering emphasis, but that's kind of still up in the air too. Like I also like the molecular cellular emphasis that BME has, and also there's like no emphasis. I could not be Monse and do mechanical though. Not my thing.
Yeah, I think that's something cool about like USC is that engineers are like something else. Like people come here and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm an engineer, but like I'm a theater minor or like, a songwriter or whatever. I'm like, you guys are all crazy, but we're all equally crazy here. So it's all right.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like I have to say this just in case anybody listening to this wants to switch to mechanical engineering. Cinthia, I disagree that I know, I'm sorry. I have to say this. I have to say it.
Whoa,
I have
okay,
to
so
say
see,
it. I have to say it. I have to
Are we
say
about
it.
to see a fight? I'm kidding.
a fight is gonna break out when we
No.
see each other.
No. You'll agree. You'll agree. But
Okay.
like I don't think mechanical engineering is just like aerospace and automobiles. Companies everywhere hire mechanical engineers. Like you could be a mechanical engineer for Apple, for Microsoft, for Google, for anything. Like if you're a mechanical engineer, you can go wherever you want. There's always a need for mechanical engineers.
And for biomedical device companies. I was
Yeah.
really considering switching to mechanical engineering, but since I want to do the PDP, progressive degree, I don't really have space for that. So
Yeah.
Monse, whose side are you on?
sorry.
Are
We're
you
on the side
It has
on the
no
side of the
side.
viewers. We're on the side of the viewers, the listeners.
Nah, I mean, I love the self promo, JP, but at the same time,
We
we
love
all
it.
know BME is top tier. Not kidding.
What? No.
Let's be honest.
no.
Let's be honest. Engineering is
Stop.
top tier. That we can all agree on.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. And JP, you were talking earlier about that, like the versatility that like
Oh, yeah.
your career choice can have. Cinthia touched up on that too. So did Monse. Now it's my turn. I guess like I mean, really, yeah. There's so much you can do with your degree and with your interests, and it's your choice on like how to combine them. I feel like something important to talk about. Monse and JP were part of that like pre-engineering thing. How was that process?
Um, I do you mind if I can start? I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, it was terrifying in the beginning because I had to, if I wanted to graduate within a reasonable time frame, I had to do Calculus 1 and Calculus 2 in one summer. So like, and my first class as an engineer at USC was Calculus 3. Because for pre-engineering, you have to do you have to do one engineering course. So which for me was AME 101, which is just introduction to mechanical engineering. You have to do one like science course, so like chemistry or physics or something like that, which for me was physics 151, which is just mechanics and thermodynamics, and one calculus course, which for me was calculus 3. So you just have to get like a B or something, or in my case, since it was COVID, pass. So like if you took it, pass, no pass. But yeah, so it can be a little intimidating, especially if you're switching from outside of Viterbi and you're not used to like any science classes, or if you're like me where just was just terrible at math when I was in high school, like not my strong suit at all. But I do have to say that in my case, I had so much support from like the pre-engineering counselors. I can specifically give a shout out to Miguel Anselmetti, who just like without him, I definitely would not be where I am today, because I was thinking about quitting. I was thinking about like switching back to business or switching into something else. And without like the counselors or talking to the counselors there, like I would not have kept going. So it can be intimidating, but just stick it through and it's not as bad as it actually is.
Yeah, I had a really similar experience. Since I like basically came into USC as pre-engineering, my first ever like math class I had to take at USC was Calculus 3. And considering I was in online school for 2 years, about 2 years, I switched from online to in person, from high school to college. It was a really big change for me. So I wouldn't really say the pre-engineering process in general was difficult. I just think the transfer from, moving to university and getting used to the actual classes, that was the most difficult part for me. For me, the process, the length for it was just 1 year. I had to take, I don't really remember which classes specifically, but I had to take a calculus course, a chemistry course, which is 105B, and that really showed me that chemistry is not my thing. I'm never taking a chemistry class at USC ever again. I took that one, pass, no pass.
Mood. Like mood.
Yeah, and then second semester I had to take BME 101, and that class really showed me like the actual BME side of it. Like first semester was just chemistry and like my GEs. Second semester, I actually took BME 101, and it really showed me that this is what I want to do, and this is who, like, the people in BME, these are the people I want to work with and have classes with for the next 4 years. But yeah, I really enjoyed the process, even though like every time I had to introduce myself, I would be like, oh, I'm technically biology, but I'm switching to biomedical engineering. Now I'm happy that I'm actually able to say I'm biomedical engineering with mechanical engineering emphasis.
There you go. There you go, Monse.
There you go. Period, hun.
Well,
I remember when I
fact.
got my,
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember when I got like the email that like, oh, like you got accepted to Viterbi or whatever, and I was like, finally, like we made it. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
we're here.
It's almost like getting admitted to USC a second time.
Again, yeah.
Oh wow. I love that feeling.
That gratification must have been like insane.
It was nice. Yeah, it was nice.
Little fun fact, me and JP met in Calculus 3.
Yeah, we know how
With
that
me.
Yeah, with Cinthia as well. Oh my god.
we all had Calc 3. It was like the greatest. I remember that was like the best calculus class I've taken.
Oh yeah.
And I
Shout out to
struggled.
Sakai. Sakai, amazing.
Yes, props to Sakai. Sakai is the best professor for like Calc 3.
Yeah.
But Calc 3, like I'm such a visual learner. Like the like they will be like drawing the shapes in 3D, and I'll be able to picture the shapes in 3D in my head and like flip them and do all this crazy stuff in my head. I'm like, I love it. But let's talk about linear algebra. I was like, 4-dimensional. I could not imagine that. Like 4 dimensions where
You have to understand how to draw it. Until you understand how to draw it, then you can imagine it. I couldn't understand how to draw it. So for me, like that was my problem. I flopped so hard in that class. Me and Jake, us and our friend Aaron, we prayed. We prayed until we got our grades.
It was terrible. Yeah.
Oh.
Shout out to Sakai. Could not have done it without him.
Yeah, that's true.
But did it all work out?
It did.
Yeah.
We're here today.
Yeah.
We passed. And we moved forward.
I ended up pass-failing physics. I thought I was honestly going to flunk that class. Physics 151. I thought I was going to fail. I ended up getting a B+.
Yeah.
I got a whole A- on the final. And you know what I got on the freaking math final? A 50%. I thought I was going to do so much better. I should have failed math because I ended up with a B-. But anyways, so we live and we learn. I'm sure we take that advice.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess like now we've talked about pre-engineering, me and Cinthia can kind of talk about what it's like to switch within Viterbi, because, well, fun fact about Viterbi, you can kind of just like switch between any engineering major you want. Like, of course, it's great to have advising, but like when you register for classes, you can kind of just register for anything and then tell your advisor after. But I don't recommend that. Like, talk to your advisor if you're feeling these kinds of doubts. But at the same time, I had the choice to switch to any major of my choice. And I started with biomedical engineering. I didn't even switch my major. I didn't declare anything. I just wanted to start taking that intro class. So yeah, my transfer experience was super duper easy. And that's just one of the great things about Viterbi's flexibility. Cinthia, you had like a similar experience, right?
Yeah, I would say switching within Viterbi is like super easy. Like one day, you wake up, the sun is bright outside, and you're like, I want to be a biomedical engineer. Go for it. No one's gonna stop you. Just knock on your advisor's door and be like, hey, I kind of want to switch to this major. How would that work? And they're always happy to help you, and they're always like so welcoming. And so every time I switched, I'll go to the advisor and be like, hi, I kind of want to like switch to this other major. And I feel like I have come to know most of the advisors, and especially Zoe, who's the undecided advisor, because she was the girl who like helped me. She was like, girl, you got this, girl, like just go around that and find what you like and find like your passion and stuff. And I was like, yes, thank you so much for the support, because I really needed that. And just tinkering around. But I think one of the things that helped me like solidify my switch or my swapping over was like a mentor I had. And my mentor was ISC. So he was a little biased, about ISC. He was like, you should try ISC. And he kept pushing me and saying like, you should try ISC since freshman year, since like we met. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go try other disciplines. But then I kind of like bought it and I was like, maybe I should try ISC. And, I went in for it and I was like, yes, now I'm like super biased towards ISC. Like all the undecided majors that I see at USC, all the freshmen who are undecided, I'm like, no, you should like buy into ISC because we're like low-key the best major on campus.
No, you're right. I like ISC people. My friend Maya, actually, she, is the host of this podcast. She's an ISC. She's really, really cool. She talks about it all the time. She interned with Medtronic, something that I really want to do. And hopefully get that opportunity.
You will.
Anyway.
You will. Like, absolutely, you will.
Well, they did reject me twice.
It's okay.
It's okay. No, but it's okay.
Still a fourth opportunity.
You only have to succeed once. You only have to succeed once.
Yeah. All we need is one opportunity, and then we take it. Exactly. Medtronic, if you're listening, I love you with every bone in my body. And I will do anything to have an opportunity in research and development or quality engineering. My resume can be found on my LinkedIn. We talked about mentorship. What are some other resources? Like we've had mentors, maybe advice from upperclassmen that really helped you like build your confidence and help you get to that other major. Like we touched up on it a bit, but is there anything you want to add?
You mean like sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask like you mean like resources for switching or resources once we were in?
Oh, that's good too.
I think both.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like a specific resource, like go to this office to get this. Like I just mean like your friends, your family, like how did you decide?
I was gonna say like 100% the biggest resource you have is like the people around you, like your peers, because everybody's in the same boat as you. Everybody's like suffering, like everybody knows what you're going through. And like I feel like one of the best things about engineering is that everybody's super helpful with each other. Like I remember like studying for like Calc 3, like Cinthia, Mateo, and like some other friends, like we were like texting like 2 a.m. or something like that, like what are we gonna do? Like test tomorrow, like we're gonna die. Like, but like everybody just help each other out and support it, be so supportive. So find like the people in your classrooms and just like stick to them and ask them for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. That's
snaps to that.
Definitely. I think right after I joined BME, like meeting all the BME students, they really helped me like, actually know about engineering clubs. Because when I, went into the BME 101 class, I started meeting people and they told me a lot about the organizations that Viterbi had. And so I joined from there. So I think those are really good resources, your peers and your student and the students around you.
No, you're totally right.
No, I absolutely agree. Like your peers are like a great resources. Like I love all my ISU. Like I love everyone within the Viterbi that I've met so far. I'm like, oh my God, y'all are like the best people I've met on campus. They're like super creative. They're super helpful. They're willing to help you in anything. Like JP said, like it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Who knows what time it is? People lose track of time. And people will be texting like, oh, did you understand this one thing? Or like, I don't know how to do this thing. Or like you figure parts of it out and then another person helps you like kind of tinker with it a little bit more. And you're like, 2 brains are better than just 1 brain. So sometimes it just works. And that collaboration has really helped me as well. Like organizations help a lot too. Like get really know people within your major and outside of your major as well. And like basically just make friends with a variety of people. And I think that has been one of the greatest things in my experience here at Viterbi.
Yeah, no, for real. We all mentioned that we're part of SHIP, the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. I just have to say that we're all Latinos. We all know how amazing SHIP is as a club. Make sure you take advantage of that. Any Latinos that are listening, and everyone else too. Cultural clubs, identity clubs. Love them so much. You'll find your little niche as soon as you get here. Honestly, like I think I found my people. The people in SHIP have helped me tremendously. Like just deciding even like the classes I want to take. I talked to upperclassmen, Nelly and Cassandra.
Yeah,
They've
Nelly
all
T.
told me I love Nelly. She works.
I love her too.
But yeah, no, she's really cool too. And yeah, they really did help me because they're like, oh yeah, you know what? BME 202, that's a pretty rough class, but you'll get through it. I promise. Like you still see me here today. She was right. I'm about to have that final next week. Monse and I, we're not ready. We're not ready.
It's okay, guys. You guys got this.
No.
You guys got this. Fight it.
Yeah. Now that we're all here, we made it to our new major. What are some of the successes you've had since you've settled for your major? Also, what have been the struggles? And how have you like bounced back? I guess I could start this question. I mean, we've all pretty much touched up on our successes a bit. Like we really feel like we've integrated into all the clubs and organizations we're a part of. That I mean, that's a common trend I'm seeing. Come on. Like I really do love SHIP. Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers really like confirmed that interest in me. I went to North Carolina to the SHIP National Convention. It was just really validating to see lots of Latinos in engineering. That feeling was just incredible. I could not trade that for the world. But I mean, I was pretty sure about engineering, not gonna lie, as soon as I got into college. But really, my successes have been in VSA. I'm glad to be an ambassador for the engineering school that has given me so many opportunities, my bad. And I just really enjoy the culture here. You know, we're talking about staying up until 2 a.m., almost failing midterms. That happens, but that's not like a more than an obstacle. You know, like genuinely, I'm pretty sure that happens at every school, and it should not discourage you to become an engineer. Like these are just natural things that happen. Like anybody who's listening, I'm sure there's been some nights where you have just been busy, like you are laser focused, and you have to have that kind of discipline, but it's not all the time, and you know that. Like as soon as I'm done with a huge assignment, I go on my computer and watch an episode of Abbott Elementary. Like there's a lot of balance. It's just like I love my life right now. Actually, I don't. Finals. But I do love my life throughout the rest of the school year. Yeah, no, I'm swamped. But filming this podcast has been a really nice break. Talking and catching up with Cinthia and JP. Monse and I sit next to each other in every class. I love her. Both as well. Anyways.
While there's like a lot of successes, for example, me, like very much like Mateo, I had a lot of successes, I think, and just like integrating myself into my organizations. And I'm part of like, who knows, I lost count, maybe like 5 organizations on campus where I hold leadership roles. And I'm a person who loves to be part of leadership and loves to congregate with other people. And so that's been a passion of mine ever since. So just building that has been a huge success for me. Getting to know the entire basically ISC department has been such a great experience. I have so much connections now because I'm so involved here, like within Viterbi. But I think one of the challenges that I faced early and continue to even face now, as a student in Viterbi, is imposter syndrome. And I think while it has lessened, I still feel it sometimes. Like I'll sit in a class and just feel like, you know, sometimes like I don't belong. But then I have all these people around me who tell me, no, like you're doing XYZ, you're doing like this and that, and like you're everywhere all at once. They're like, I'm even stressed for like what you're doing, and you're over here just like going through it like it's nothing. And sometimes when I hear it from other people saying like, oh, you're doing a great job, like I really appreciate that you did XYZ. I'm like thankful like I met you. I know one of my previous mentees was like, I'm so glad I met you and you really helped me through my freshman year. Just hearing that from other people have allowed me to go beyond that feeling of imposter syndrome that sometimes clouds my thinking and kind of, you know, brings me at a low state. But, you know, people I think within Viterbi are so like helpful, and we have so much community within Viterbi that feeling kind of goes away as time passes. So it's just, you know, it's just a struggle. We're all gonna deal with struggles in college, and I think that was like one of my biggest struggles.
Yeah, and I get that feeling too of not feeling like you belong in the class, especially when I transferred right into BME. The way I really found my place, because right now I feel comfortable where I'm at. I feel like I fit in, and that's because I found people close to me who hold similar interests. We are great friends, and at first it was actually at LAA, which is Latino Alumni Association. At one of their banquets, I met another BME major, and from there, like he introduced me to other BME majors, and then that's how I really found my group or the people that I fit in with, and that's why like going to like cultural clubs and just putting yourself out there, I think you'll really find your niche, your group, and yeah, for me, the imposter syndrome has lessened quite a lot. Even though it's still there sometimes, I'm comfortable where I'm at now.
Yeah, it's not something that holds me back anymore. Imposter syndrome was very real when I came into USC. Like, not gonna lie, like I remember sitting in my BME 101 class in my first semester at USC, and the first day, the professor starts talking about like, oh, what did you guys do in the summer? And then also he asked like, what kind of things have you done in BME so far in your life? And for me, I'm like, nothing. Nothing. The students around me were like, oh, I kid you not. One person was like, oh, I worked at 23andMe last summer. What? 23andMe? That is my future, not my present and my past. I was like, wow, I was like so impressed. I mean, you'll encounter that. I mean, I was like, dang, like I don't have an internship. Am I behind? Like, I don't even have an internship now. That was literally like a year ago. I mean, but now I know like I'm where I am. We're in the same room together. And if you're ever feeling imposter syndrome, or you're like thinking about it like, you know, these people have been in engineering this whole time and I'm barely about to transfer in, or like they have been in biomedical engineering since the beginning and I'm transferring in a year later, like it's a very valid feeling, but get rid of it because it will affect you until you push that boundary. I mean, it will happen naturally, honestly. I mean, I guess I'm not the right person to talk about this, considering it was pretty linear for me. But at the same time, like I wasn't sure if BME was right for me. I enjoyed it, but I sometimes felt like a mile behind my classmates. I put in the extra work, I caught up, and now I feel like a top dog. Like I genuinely love my classes. I feel like I fit in. I have met people in the same way Monse has. That's how we met each other. We met in like the basement of a library.
Levy library.
Homework. Levy library.
Oh my God, not Levy. It's like a hotel there. It's literally like a hotel there.
Yeah, I love that.
It's 24 hours, so it's like you could live there. You could like camp out there. It's so bad.
You really can. Their seats are really comfortable.
I don't think their seats are comfortable at all.
I loved it. It like fit my body
disagree.
perfectly. It was just the cushion. Oh, nah, it's all right.
I feel like I can also add a few things for the imposter syndrome because for me, like calculus was always like my worst. Like the worst grade I ever had in high school was calculus. And then like the worst grade I ever had in business was like business calculus. So like going into engineering was super intimidating. And I remember sitting in my first like physics class, the professor started talking about like vectors, which is like the easiest, most simple thing that one should know in physics. And I was like, what is a vector? Like I had no idea what a vector was coming in to engineering. And like today, like I'm involved like the UC liquid propulsion lab, which is primarily like grad students. I just got like my first internship for GE Aerospace next summer. So like if you
Okay,
like
JP, I see you.
Okay, we see your little flex.
Okay.
I want to say because like for anybody who thinks like they can't do it or like they're too scared to do it or whatever, like if you enjoy it, if you're genuinely curious about the major you want to change to, like do it. Like you'll figure it out. Like there will always be people who will be smarter than you. There will always be crazy kids who like have been building satellites since they were 4 years old or something
For
like that.
real.
What?
Like there's always those
Wait a
kids.
minute. I'm
There's
kidding.
always those kids. Or like someone who learned Python on their own when they were like 5 years old. They're out there. They exist. But like you got this. Like it's okay. Like you will make it.
Words of wisdom
Words
from
of
JP. Like, oh my God, we
wisdom.
love it. Like, JP, I needed to record that because I need that to play like constantly during finals. Like, you got this. You got
You needed
this.
to record that? Well, guess what? It's recorded. Podcast, sweetheart. I know. I mean, I'm not happy that we all experienced it, but it's relieving that obviously, like
Yeah.
I'm not the only person experiencing.
Also, talking with other people who have
Yeah.
dealt with it is very like reassuring.
You know, people might look like they got everything put together, but they don't. And I'm one of those people. Like, I look like I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, like half the time. And it's just a matter of like figuring things out as you go and like building a good network, a good group of friends that will like support you, right? I think that's what matters the most. And like the experience you get in the end. Because you're coming to USC not only to get an education, but you're here to get the best experience you could get, whether that's through like organizations or whether that's like studying abroad or whatever you want to do. Like you're going to come here because you want to get the best experience, not only just the education.
Yeah. 100%. I'm glad you said that because I feel like a lot of times I feel like I look at people who are getting like super good grades and I'm like, oh my God, like they're so smart. Like I'm not that smart, but that's not the case. Like they're just doing the work, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. So we were talking about words of wisdom earlier. I think it's about time we round out this podcast with some advice. So I guess like what's some advice that you would give to your former self, whether it's during the pre-engineering process or like before you even came to USC? Like how could actions you made in the past, if you were to be able to change those, what would you have done differently? What's some advice that you would have listened to?
I can go. So I guess an advice I'll give to my former self is to not stress too much. Like I think every action I've taken so far has brought me to the correct place. I do think going through that pre-engineering process has helped me successfully transfer to engineering. And I also think I wouldn't have applied as engineering. When I was applying for USC, it didn't really come to my mind, to be honest. So I really think the actions I've taken were good, and I really am happy with where I am right now. But I just wish I hadn't really stressed so much about whether I would even get into BME, because I really stressed a lot about that, especially when I was in Calc 3, and Calc 3 was one of the requirements for getting into BME. I really stressed a lot about that, so I did pass, no pass. I passed nonetheless, but I just think an advice for anyone who's listening, just don't stress too much. And like Mateo said, follow your passion and listen to the people around you, the advice around you. Go onto Reddit, look at all those those threads like about engineering. That's where I like really it really helped me a lot decide what major I wanted. But yeah, just listen to your heart and listen to your passion.
True. Truth. I do want to say one thing before we keep going, and that's like get the ball rolling. Like seriously, like if you even have an inkling, get the ball rolling. Don't wait. Like don't say, "Oh, I have time to still graduate." No. No, 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 no. Get the ball rolling. Find out your interests quicker. You might find some kind of obstacle in the future. It's just best to do things when they come to you. Even like if you're like mid-semester, you still have the rest of the semester to decide. Find your that time to talk to an advisor or talk to some upperclassmen that you know are in that major. It might not be easy to find those people to talk to, just get that ball rolling. That's my last piece of advice.
Yes, I totally agree with getting the ball rolling because I was like, I was over here trying to not get the ball rolling. But I did end up getting the ball rolling regardless. I think my advice to, everyone and to like my past self as well would have been that, you don't force yourself to fit a major. I had a lot of issues with this because I was trying to force myself into majors that probably weren't the most adequate, where I was not, the skills and the experiences I previously had were not fitting incorrectly. So I feel like, you've had a lot of experience, you have your own personal story, you see the world differently, whether through creative lenses, through whatever you want to see the world through. And you want to take that and say, where could I go that all what I have, all the skills that I have will make an impact, instead of you trying to choose a major and then trying to fit that major, if that makes any sense. And so, if I would have realized, Cinthia, you're such an organizer, choose something that's more about like organizing. And that's what ISC is all about. It's all about optimizing. It's all about organizing. It's all about like, constraints and all that good stuff. So that was something that I was like super passionate about. And, it's just about finding the intersection between all your interests, I think.
Well, hopefully you guys take our words of wisdom to heart. And really, that kind of wraps up this podcast. Like I said, I was kind of looking forward to filming this for a while. Honestly, I had not gotten the ball rolling until late December.
You did.
But I did, and it's the thought that counts. It's the action that counts. But anyways, thank you guys all for tuning into this podcast. It was really just my pleasure. Thank you to Monse, JP, and Cinthia for joining us tonight. I say joining me tonight to film this podcast. And it was really just awesome to catch up with you guys. Hopefully we can like arrange something later. I would love that. Maybe before we all head back home. But anyways, right at the end, I'd love to do a little fight on. If you guys want to join me, it'd be kind of cute. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fight on.
Fight on.
Woo!
All right, welcome back, everyone. Mateo, thank you for bringing that awesome and really insightful conversation with the awesome title, Making Major Changes. Really good to see and just really hear about all the experiences everyone had. Just curious, from you, what was something that going through the process of changing your major that you didn't really expect that kind of surprised you?
I guess something I didn't really expect was processing how difficult the decision would be. I guess like for me, you heard my journey. I went from undeclared engineering to biomedical engineering, and that's like my whole journey. But really, the decision into biomedical engineering for me was pretty difficult. I just knew that biomedical engineering was something that interested me, but I didn't know if I could handle it. Truth is. So, coming to that decision, coming to terms with like, this is super interesting to me. I really just want to tackle it and do my best. And if I like it, I will stay. And that's what ended up happening. But it really did take some courage to jump into this field, knowing like how amazingly difficult it would be. So I really do love it.
Let me back up a couple steps, Mateo, and kind of see if this is what I think you might be meaning, is that you always had an interest in it, correct?
Of course, yeah.
But really, the issue was the fear of commitment.
Oh yeah, that's a good way.
Is what it was. It wasn't that you were you weren't scared of doing it. You were scared of saying formally that this is what you're doing.
Yeah,
and I think that's what I always like to pause on here, is that doing it or saying you're committed to doing it is the same thing. Right. And it was just much more of this like mental, I don't know, some sort of predefined roadblock that you realize, like, I have to be able to say this, and I'm scared to say this. And I guess my point is, no one said you had to say anything. Right. And all you had to do, and you almost said in the beginning, you're like, I know I can change it later. So like, it was just weird. It was just weird. What do you think created that kind of preconceived gateway that you had to like lock up or something, that you had to like break through? What was it that created such fear and apprehension, stress, anxiety about this idea of saying, yeah, now I'm going to be biomedical engineering? Was it the fact that if you change your mind in the future, you would consider yourself a failure?
I think that there was like some, I guess, fear going into it that maybe like it would be very challenging for me. I know, like, I read articles online, like, this sounds really complex. Like, do I really want to put myself into a field where like there's like so many open ends? And like it just seemed like a very challenging thing. And I guess in a way that was fear, but also is inspiration. I think it made me want to continue.
Yeah.
And explore that interest. I just wanted to see like, how can I contribute to this field if it's something for me, and like, was that about engineering as a whole, or specifically biomedical engineering? Because I mean, anyone could say that about any engineering discipline, I would imagine. True. I would say both, but more biomedical. I guess like thinking about what my alternative would have been, honestly, probably biology. So I'm glad I made the decision to continue with engineering.
Right. Well, good. I think that's the point, is that when specifically, and when I deal with high school students, but also students that are at colleges and universities that are thinking about transferring, there is just this kind of mental block about like, can I do it? And I think that one of the main issues that I always want to encourage everybody is, hey, it's not about can, it's much more about like, is it right for you? And I think that's the only way you're going to know whether something is right for you or not, like whether it matches up with your interests, with your desires, whether you find the challenge rewarding, because the challenge is going to be there no matter what. Is that whether you're finding some sort of feedback loop related to that challenge. That's the only question that you go into. So don't think of it as, and I'm not talking to you, Mateo, or to you, Cameron, but just to everyone out there in general, is that don't think of it as I will succeed or fail. It's just, you're going to find out whether something's right for you or not. And if it's not, we're going to find something else that is. No matter what you do, college is going to be hard. No matter what you do, engineering in college is going to be even harder. And finding the right fit for you in that particular program, in that particular major, is all about the curriculum working with you and finding out that level. It will be hard. It will be challenging. It will be harder than anything you've ever done. But we only admit students that we believe will be successful in the program. And we provide the support and services for students to be helpful so that we can help you through those ideas. Again, not to provide handouts or to hold hands in any particular way, but to provide resources, support services, and a community that will help you be successful as well. And I think that's the other great thing about this episode, and even in this conversation, Mateo, hopefully you found, is that the cathartic element of talking about it and realizing everybody's fears and challenges and things, and how you helped each other get through it, even if it was just knowing that they were there, knowing that someone could be reached out to, I think is an important part. Did you find that helpful in this process of kind of rewinding through this element?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you were to do it all over again, you were to talk to yourself in high school, now where you are now, what would you tell yourself in high school going into college?
I would tell myself to just do it. I think like in high school, even like, mm, I wouldn't say imposter syndrome, but at the same time, like I had a fear of college in general. You're right. College is absolutely difficult. College and engineering in college is also very difficult. And I think that part of the reality set in that I was going to go to college eventually. And I just was like, I need to pick something and I need to figure out what I want to do. And I just need to tell myself in the past to just do it. I think that that motivation, that just like building my own courage, I guess, would help me move forward. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the last part of it too. And as we'll go to Cameron on this one, I think part of the fear, and you might have uncovered it a little bit, is that you think you're picking the final destination. Like I need to pick something to do. Like I'm picking like a career or a lifestyle. And Cameron, you're on the next stage of this, which is that major transition that Mateo has gone through, kind of the idea of like feeling like a major solidified. But then your transition into a career is already evolving into a different pathway, and that like your specific career is not necessarily going to be your major necessarily. And you might even be thinking about two steps beyond that too. Like that might even be different. Can you talk about that next stages of, I hate to say this, but decisions keep happening and changes keep occurring. It's just, you probably are a little more comfortable with those changes moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things that about choosing a major that kind of gets lost is the fact that your major now, it's an important decision, obviously, to see what you'd like to study and what your, I guess, classical train is. Like, oh, I'm classically trained in this, but that doesn't really necessarily dictate like your limited capacity. I came as a mechanical engineer, but no one's going to be a mechanical engineer for 40 years. I mean, you can if you really do enjoy that. That wasn't something that I wanted to do. Now I'm a software engineer. So yes, that directly applies to computer science, as that's like the most common field that we go into as software engineers. But I'm working on a financial technology version of software engineering, which is very different from the big tech companies you think of. I was also getting looks at consulting agencies, which you typically think of business students going into consulting, not necessarily software engineers, but that's another big realm. Product managers, even got companies who are asking for, teachers and marketing, professionals, and who are looking for, engineers and computer science students. I'm not sure if I'd want to be a marketing salesperson or a teacher, maybe down the line, depending on where life takes you. But it just goes to show that I realized there was just so much more out there based on majoring in engineering and picking computer science beyond just the stereotypical, am I going to be a web developer or app developer or a server developer or some, these very, or a researcher, these very kind of limiting aspects of being an engineer or being a software engineer. You can, of course, do those if you want to, and the jobs are there and the opportunities are there. But if you want to do something else, I mean, the world is pretty much your oyster. An engineering degree really just kind of puts you on that, gets you in the door. And I really saw that the options were less about what I could do and more about what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And I think that's the final point that we can close out this episode on, which is, hey, these changes are going to keep happening. I think some things you're going to be pushed into, some things you're going to be really interested in and start to gravitate towards over time. But the idea of where someone goes in their career is usually never predetermined. It is something that happens with you along the way via experiential processes, things you experience, things that you do, things that you encounter, things that challenge you in ways that you weren't expecting, the things that change you, and ultimately life things come into play as well. And so for anyone out there listening, I hope this is at least a little bit helpful to you to recognize that the main thing is no one has it figured out, and you're not supposed to. I think that's the main thing. No one has it figured out, and you're not supposed to. Enjoy the ride, seek out challenges, find things that engage you, that are fulfilling to you, that find interesting. It's not about quote unquote finding a passion. I hear that a lot with students these days. Like, I'm trying to find my passion. I'm like, dude, you're going to keep looking, because you never know, man. Things might keep coming up. You never know what's going to change you and devise you. And so don't think that there's some sort of final solution that you're trying to hit on either at the end of high school or the beginning of college or whatever that's going to be. It's just, you're going down a pathway of finding fulfillment. And if you continue to find fulfillment, then I think you're going to do good things. And those opportunities for fulfillment will change and evolve over time, just like you will. So anyways, with that message, what a great New Year's resolution to find fulfillment and to seek out challenge. And I wish that for all of you. And I hope you all have a prosperous and healthy and happy new year. Cameron, thanks again for being here, and welcome to the podcast in your official capacity as co-host. Mateo, thank you for kicking us off with such a great episode. And we will look forward to hearing more from you in the future episodes as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great new year. We'll see you next week.